TitleMatchNetwork.com.
I don't know. I don't think we were Southwest Championship Wrestling at that time.
Right.
Because it was still part of the Dallas booking office
With Fritz.
And so you have the. Yeah, I don't think we were. I don't think so at that time. But my dad still produced a TV show. It was kind of a unique territory in the fact that 3 different towns produced their own TV shows.
Right.
And it really made, I later on in retrospect would have made that territory very difficult to work for, and the booker didn't have near the authority except in 2 towns.
Right.
And so different towns pushed different people, and it really would have been a difficult place to have a booking office and get good talent.
That's what I was going to ask you. My next question was, between your father and Fritz, was there ever tension between those two trying to push their sons? Like Fritz would be pushing the
Well, no. See, there wasn't any pressure, because when my dad and Fritz took the thing over, they were together but what my dad did was he was partners in San Antonio and that promotion, and he became partners in Corpus Christi and Austin, and my dad made an agreement with Fritz that he didn't want part of the office, and he wanted to be left alone.
Right.
So Fritz said, okay. He took the office. My dad wanted to be left alone.
Right.
So they still paid a booking fee and stuff, but Fritz's kids never worked for us. Likewise, I never worked for Fritz very much. And we didn't work for one of the, each other.
Right.
They didn't want me to work up there, and not that we didn't want. Fritz didn't want his kids down there.
Was David like the only one really at that time no working, or Kevin?
David and Kevin.
Kerry wasn't.
Kevin's the oldest. And
Right.
Kerry was still in school
Right.
at the time.
So that was late 70s then. Was there any threat, like when the Von Erichs were like really, really super hot? Did they ever how come they just didn't take over the whole state?
They did. They took over San Antonio.
They did?
Yeah. My dad's and mine partner, he signed the contract with the TV station.
Mm-hmm.
And our business went from here to here, because one week they were watching Southwest Championship Wrestling. The next week they were watching World Class Wrestling. And that's when the Von Erichs did such tremendous business in San Antonio, is they already had the wrestling audience, and wrestling fans didn't know. They don't know who the promoter is, and there's not a loyalty. They're watching wrestling. And our partner switched sides. He didn't like us because we didn't want to steal money at the gate, and he didn't like us because he came from the car business. He is. I heard my mom and dad sent me a newspaper article last week and said that he had been caught doing something and serving 15 years in prison now. My memories of Gino Hernandez. Whew. He wanted to be Elvis Presley.
Right.
He loved Elvis Presley. Wanted to be like him. And he was. It's a whole lot of talent. And it's just sad.
Right.
It really is. In fact, I called him in 1984. I said, Gino, you need to come to North Carolina and quit screwing around out there. And he liked running around with the dope dealers and the gamblers, and he liked rolling in that high life.
Right.
I don't know a lot of the stuff he did, but I know some of the stuff he did. I've watched him do some of the stuff. And there's a lot of people that tell me that he was, in fact, one time I talked to his girlfriend up in Dallas, or one of his girlfriends, and that he owed a lot of gamblers money and that they killed him. And the official story is that I guess he OD'd. And I know he owed a lot of gamblers
Hmm.
when he was in Houston before he moved to Dallas. And I knew he run around with some highfalutin people that in the underworld, that whether it was organized or they were just highfalutin dope dealers or whatever. But not to get one story ahead of the other one, but when I started having to do TV shows and you had deadlines and things being over with and places to be and times to be there, I learned how to get stuff done, which I'd never learned in school before. And so when I went back to school in January, I took a year and a half of school in a semester and 1 semester of summer school. I took my whole sophomore year. I took 22 hours in the fall, and then I took 12 hours in 1 summer session and put my nose to the grindstone. And by graduating from junior college, I didn't have to redshirt. I didn't have to sit out. So when I went to West Texas State up in Canyon, Texas, I was eligible to go on the field and play without having to sit out another year.
Right.
And so I ended up starting up there for 3 years, and graduated in 1977. And back to the other question, if you're watching this, we're really not confusing. But that was the conflict there.
Right.
You know, it wasn't a conflict just because.
What about what was your deal with wrestling in Japan a few years ago with Fujinami?
They wanted me to come over and wrestle one time, and I did. They wanted to have more. I don't know. They never asked me to come back. I went over there and got beat up in Osaka and got a trip to Japan. And
Is that your first time there?
my first time there, my only time there, and I always wanted to go to Japan. And the plane ride was unique. The food was good. The conversation was weak. The place was jammed. I met some nice guys from England, and went down to the Hard Rock Cafe somewhere in Osaka.
Right.
And ate after the matches, and I almost wished for a moment that I was a wild and crazy guy like I used to be, because I had some people that were in the press over there that I'd always been friends with, and they'd come to San Antonio, and I'd always wined and dined them, and I probably would have had a wild and crazy time that I didn't have. But I'm glad I didn't do the wild and crazy time, because that part of my life is over with. So.
Watch thousands of exclusive shoot interviews right now on TitleMatchNetwork.com.